am so excited to talk this morning. I was slated to talk earlier in the year, and Closter and I were talking at one of our meetings, and he's like, actually, I think I'm going to have you go in March. Is that cool? Do you mind? Can I have you go in March? And I look at the theme, and it's I am valuable. And I was like, God, you're funny. Okay. Yeah. I'll go in March. Knowing that I'm like fully probably 2-3 weeks out from stepping out, I was like, no. It's the theme. I've got a fancy clicker, so we're going to see how this goes. The point of this month, hey, welcome to March. The point of our theme this month is to recognize my own value and strengths and identity and identify the value and strengths of others. I'm going to be sort of speaking on the first bit of that, and I know you'll have other speakers this month. The reason I kind of laugh, as sometimes I do with God, is this is a huge part of my testimony. And I know you all, and you might be surprised kind of in what capacity it's a huge part of my testimony. So I am more than happy to speak on this morning. Before we start, it's interesting we have this conversation of like value, right? Like what's valuable? There are certain little trinkets that have been left behind. Like my grandmother was the person I was closest to on the entire planet, closer than my parents. She was my closest parent. She lived a few doors down from us. And to the naked eye, to the common eye, these like it's a mere tiny little pendant, things worth no value monetarily, right? And I placed like this huge value on them because they were from my grandmother. They're all I have left from her. And my question to you this morning, what is value? What's valuable in your eyes? What's valuable in your mind? And this is totally rhetorical. No one has to raise their hand. What do you hold of value? And then a really, really, really hard next step for junior high, I know, is like, why are you valuable? What do you see as valuable within yourself? And that is a question that's always been really tricky for me. I'm going to tell you a little bit of my testimony today. Again, when Closter and I, this was super early in the school year, we were talking about teachers speaking at different chapels. He had kind of like a testimonial idea, and just wanting some of the teachers to share a little bit about themselves and kind of like just some stories of our walk with Christ and stuff. And I wanted to share this part of my walk with Christ with you. Okay, so I'm going to start. I'm going way back. Let's see if this clicker works. Are we? Yay. That's me. Yeah. That's me. And the back, Mr. Ian, the back TV is not on. I can totally flip around, though. I know you had said that you were putting that one on. Hey, little Mrs. Masters. So that's me, itty bitty. Maybe I'm two. First of all, just hashtag like genetics. Click. No, now he's cut me off. I'm sorry, Mr. Ian. I didn't mean it. Oh, there he is. Genetics? Crazy. Okay, I'm a science teacher. We talked about genetics. Crazy, right? Okay, so back to me. Yeah, I'm the little one. So I'm actually one of 5 kids. The youngest isn't born yet here. He was like 4 years later. So a lot of like super cute put together photos don't have Jason in them yet, is kind of like, it's the joke of it. I'm actually really, really, really close to my youngest brother. So I wanted to show you a grown-up picture of all 5 also. This is us with Mr. Masters at our wedding. I know, sweet. Yes, my sister did wear a shade of white to my wedding. We're next time, trick bunch. So yeah, there's 5 of us. You can see the youngest. He's in the bow tie. Is he not adorable? That's Jason. We had kind of a hard childhood, to be honest. I'm going to flip back to an itty-bitty picture. Sorry, it doesn't have Jason in it. Yeah, that's me right next to my Nana. Shocker, right? My parents divorced. Some of you are from divorced homes. A lot of you know close friends and relatives, their parents have gone through divorce. My parents went through divorce. It wasn't a pretty divorce. Not that any are, but it was not a great version of a divorce. And my Nana, as I said, lived like a few doors down. So this is her. So like I cherish her. I adore her. She was just this guiding light in my life, to be totally honest. And she was everything to me. I ended up losing her when I was like 25, so way too young to lose your closest parent. But what I ended up with after my parents went through said divorce is I ended up in like a narcissistic home. And If you don't know what a narcissist is, I actually looked it up on Mayo Clinic, because you all know me, and Googling is fine. A narcissistic personality disorder is a mental health condition in which people have an unreasonably high sense of their own importance. They need and seek too much attention and want people to admire them. People with this disorder may lack the ability to understand or care about the feelings of others. So to be totally frank with you, aside from my Nana and the close relationship I had with her, I was pretty much on my own as a kid. My parents divorced when I was 9, and my brother was only 5. So what ended up happening in my life in a narcissistic home is I really didn't have a lot of self-worth. A narcissist will build themselves up and act very different in public, and then at home it's kind of like everyone's left to their own devices. So what I did, shocker, especially the adults in the room will probably laugh, I kind of became an overachiever, and always wanted to achieve, always wanted to succeed. I'm fine, I got this, I'm fine. I'll even help take care of the younger brother. So I really stepped up and became a little bit more of an overachiever than the rest of my siblings. But I really, really lacked self-value and self-worth, like painfully so. And did I really even let others in to see that? Not so much, to be totally honest. I put up a hard shell and I was fine. I got this. You wouldn't have really ever guessed that I lacked self-confidence or self-worth because, as you all know, I'm like musical theater girl. How can I do a high school transition without showing you a mascot picture? You've asked for it, now you've gotten it. Overachiever, like I could tap dance in front of 5,000 people, run out on the football field, a Dana in mascot costume, just whatever. You would never have guessed that truly I had very, just low self-esteem. And there's a book I'm gonna hint to a couple times while I'm chatting today. It's called Captivating. It's one that I had my girls read when I did 7th grade Girls Bible. Captivating and Wild at Heart, they're written by John and Stacey Eldridge. They're written for teens, and it's about our self-worth and who we are as Christians. And there are a couple different passages that stood out to me that I was remembering just as far as how much of my testimony this value conversation is. But this is an interesting one. Often the hardest person to fight for is yourself. But you must. Your heart is needed. You must be present and engaged in order to love well and fight on behalf of others. Without you, much would be lost. There was a lot of times in high school where I kind of went with the flow and I was just outgoing or hyper just to kind of prove a point, I'm fine. It really wasn't until God removed me from a lot of situations, and to be totally frank with you, allowed me to go through a lot of hurt and pain, that I was able to find myself. Okay, Hollywood, our culture, finding yourself is such a dangerous term nowadays, because I actually want to challenge you for a second. I wouldn't say I lose things all the time, but getting out the door in the morning is, it's interesting with 3 small kids. Half the time I'm where's my phone? It's just kind of become humorous in our house. Where's my phone? It's somewhere. Where's my phone? I actually helped throw a baby shower on Saturday. Someone else took my phone home. Mr. Masters, find my phone, found it in San Clemente, so he got to drive down there. Anyway, it's become a joke at this point. But I want to encourage you and challenge you, because our culture is going to tell us to find ourselves and find value in ourselves by the stuff we get done and the places we go and the things we do. And I want to ask you, if I've looked for my phone in very specific places, I'm only going to find my phone in those places, right? I could have lost my phone anywhere, okay? It's in the garage for whatever reason, okay? I'm looking in the bedroom, in the living room, in the backyard, in the car, those are the places I'm going to find my phone, right? There's no likelihood I'm going to find in the garage if I never step foot in the garage. Okay, case in point, there came a point in my life where the Lord really removed me from a lot of things. At the end of my high school years, I got involved in a relationship with a narcissist that lasted a long time because that's kind of all I knew. I was really wrapped up in serving in my church, but kind of in this achiever capacity. I'm a good Christian, I serve. The Lord really removed me from a few different things. And I became kind of painfully reliant on the Lord, to be totally honest. There are some verses that he built in me that might be encouraging to you. One of them, I love, the king is enthralled by your beauty, honor him for he is your Lord. Ladies in the room, like, you are literally princesses in his kingdom, and that was like a joke. I would have laughed at that coming out of junior high and high school. Like, me, I have value, I'm worth something, I'm beautiful, like, nah. And that was coming out of a lot of pain. But when we think about how the Lord created, like, it was good. He made Adam and Eve, and like, oh man, it was real good. It was very good. You are prized. You are precious in his eyes. He made you. You're part of his kingdom. And I think sometimes it can be hard for us to remember that. And I want to encourage you in two ways today. Like, first of all, my testimony, the really long and short of my testimony, because I'm, looking at the clock. The long and short of my testimony is the Lord allowed me to go through a lot of things, and a lot of them are painful. And he literally, it's kind of funny because he had to kind of separate me out a little bit. He brought me to a place where I was so reliant on him and his voice and his presence, I kind of had to rebuild myself. And I don't mean find myself, right? Like, our culture is like, who are you? Find yourself. My value had to completely shift from what I accomplished, the facade I put on for others, the overachiever I had become. You know what things I became really reliant on? I started clinging to, our church does morning and evening prayer, like rhythm of prayer, and actually reading scripture. I had grown up a good Christian for so long. Like, yeah, I had a Bible, but like, was I reading my Bible? And Christian music, like, you got to dig for what's good. But then there was like a few songs, like sometimes I would just be at such a loss, I would just play one of the Christian songs on repeat and be like, Lord, will you just fill me right now? I literally don't even have words to pray. I don't have words to like write in a prayer journal. Like, I'm spent. I also really immersed myself in a youth group, but also found a mentor. And I know that that's two-sided. So if you've never like thought about that, like a spiritual advisor, a spiritual mentor before, it happened to be my youth pastor's wife growing up. Nothing fancy. Not like, we're going to have sessions on Tuesdays at coffee and we're going to talk through some things. Nah, I went and sat at her house and just like watched how she raised her kids. I went to the grocery store with her and just kind of like watched how she did life. Because I came from kind of a broken home. And I just hadn't really seen, like, I don't know, normal Christianity. A woman who valued herself raising kids in a capacity for, like, them to value themselves. And I just allowed myself to be immersed in it. Really stepping back, the difference of that was, it was no longer a spotlight on, like, little Britt. How much is she getting done? How much is she achieving? How good is she? I was just like, Lord, would you fill me? And it's a completely different place to be in. It's a completely different place to be in. I was realizing a lot of, like, my testimony happens to be obviously from, like, female lens. And I was trying to think of something to hand the guys today, too. I wanted to flip on our heads, females, the narrative of who we are because of culture, to be honest. If you've had me in a mentor group before, or we've had this conversation before, like, our culture just rips women apart. We honestly can't succeed. You're too thin, or you're not thin enough, or you're not smart enough, or you're way too, overspoken, you're too loud. Like, women, I feel like it's just really hard for us to win. And while I'm encouraging the ladies in the room to step back and really value, like, where is your value coming from? Who's filling you? For the guys, thank you so much. I think you fixed it, Mr. Ian. And all of us. In 1 Timothy, it says, but as for you, O men of God, flee these things, pursue righteousness, godliness, faith, love, steadfastness, gentleness. Fight the good fight of faith. I wanted to remind you who Christ came for. He came for the lame and the sick and the deaf and the mute and the brokenhearted and the prostitutes and the tax collectors. He came for those who were broken. So if you are in a habit right now from your life, from whatever, the world of like achieving and proving yourself, and I'm fine, I got this, and I got this. Look, I get it. I've been in junior high, and so is every teacher in this room. It's why we teach junior high. Imposter syndrome is real. What is imposter syndrome? Like, dang, I better be fake. Everyone's going to figure me out any second right now. Like, they don't even know I'm a sham. They don't even know this is fake. They don't even know I don't have talent. Like, that can wrap up a junior high experience in one sentence, right? I want to encourage you. Christ, he came for you. He created you. And he is going to be so stoked to meet you in the hardships and to meet you in the tears and to meet you in the, like, sitting in your room and you're like, I don't even have words to pray. Lord, I don't care. Find that Christian song. Just put it on repeat for 10 minutes. Whatever you got, give it to him. And I would encourage you to connect with him that way because he is going to fill you in a way that's going to give you value. I promise you, our culture is not going to give you. And you are going to find him if you go looking for him. If I'm looking for my cell phone, I don't know, in the park, and it's obviously my house, what am I going to find? I'm going to find stuff in the park, okay? Like, if you are looking for him, he's going to gobble you up. He's going to be so excited. That intimacy that you can only have with the Lord, that's going to set you up for everything. And I just want to encourage you. It's so easy to have the facade and be the overachiever and just try to do well. I just want to encourage you just to fall into him in your quest to find your value, because it took me too long. He literally had to be like, stop. And he had to remove me from, like, most of my life and most of myself before I surrendered. And I was like, yeah, God, no, yeah, you're right. And it's still, that's my journey. That's literally, like, where I'm at in my life. That's cool. And if there's no more, that's fine. I'm like, that's cool. I know these verses. So, like, Jeremiah 29:11, he has plans for me. They're good. He's going to do things with me and through me, and that's something I couldn't have said in junior high and high school. He has crazy plans for you. He has crazy plans for you, and not for the facade that you've learned to put on or, like, the strength you found in yourself, because it doesn't exist. It's going to crumble like tomorrow. He has crazy plans for you, and you need only be strong and courageous. Don't be terrified. He is with you, and he's waiting. He's waiting for you to crumble in front of him. And what a blessing that is, because you're not enough. And, like, I'm not enough. I never was enough. It's taking me years and years to sit in him and sit in his presence and rebuild my value and my worth in him. And I know that's the tip of the iceberg. I would love to talk to any of you that, like, have thoughts and feelings on this subject. It's a blessing to sit and share with you. And I love that, like, I know I'm stepping out soon, but, like, my 7th, we've got all next year. We've got my 8th, you better come visit me. I am so honored and happy to come alongside you as a prayer partner and a prayer warrior if any of you are needing some support or just covering in prayer in this topic, because it's a huge part of my testimony. And thanks for letting me share a little bit of it with you. I'm going to close out in prayer. I know they're coming back up for another song. Thank you so much, worship band. Heavenly Father, thank you for these students. I praise you, Lord, for how you're moving in this junior high. I pray that you would give us courage and wisdom to crumble in front of you. And I pray that we wholeheartedly, truly, truthfully would try and find our value in you, because when we're seeking, it's when we're going to find it, God. And I pray you'd give us the courage to know that we have enough in you. I pray for facades to crumble. I pray for our fake self, our false self, our imposter syndromes just to melt away, Lord. I pray, Lord, as these students step up and step into you and are vulnerable in front of you, Lord, I pray you would sustain, you would show up, you would provide. God, we thank you so much that you have created us and you love us so much. We give you this time. In Christ's name, amen.
This episode has been a production of the Capistrano Valley Christian Schools Podcast Network. Capistrano Valley Christian Schools is a Christian JK-12 school in San Juan Capistrano, California. Be sure to check out, subscribe to, and leave a review of this show and the other shows on our network on your podcast player of choice. Doing so supports the school community in a multitude of ways. For more information about the CVCS Podcast Network or any of our other shows, check out cvcs.org or email podcasts@cvcs.org. On behalf of the whole network, this is Mr. Jasper saying thank you again for listening and stay tuned for more.